Welcome. My name is Raul Lowry Contreras. This is the Contreras Report International Edition. On November 10th, Armenian, Russian, and Azerbaijan leaders agreed to a ceasefire in the Karabakh and a peace deal. If fully implemented, this deal will end the 30-year-long conflict, which is, in fact, Europe's most intractable conflict. A little bit on the background of the Armenia-Azerbaijan conflict. Since the early 1990s, Armenia has occupied nearly 20% of Azerbaijan's sovereign territory, all the while ethnically cleansing all the occupied areas of Azerbaijanis. As a result, over 1 million Azerbaijanis today are displaced in their own country, becoming internal refugees, what they call internal displaced persons, IDPs. The UN Security Council and General Assembly condemned this occupation 4 times, demanding Armenian forces to be withdrawn from the occupied areas of Azerbaijan. To no avail. Armenia simply ignored the resolutions, and great powers did nothing to force Armenia to comply with international law. Peace talks between Armenia and Azerbaijan during the last 26 years led to nowhere, primarily because of Armenia's intransigence to release any occupied area from its occupation, and it had demands to establish a second Armenian state at the expense of Azerbaijan's sovereign territory. Finally, a series of provocations by the current Prime Minister of Armenia, Nikol Pashinyan, led to increased tension and an outbreak of violence on September 27th, which turned out to be the worst armed confrontation between the two countries since the early 1990s. Azerbaijan responded to Armenia's attacks, and relying on its technological superiority and professional training of its soldiers and special forces, within a short period of time, Azerbaijan was able to liberate a large portion of its territories from Armenian occupation. While losing on the battlefield, Armenia resorted to targeting Azerbaijani civilians far away from the conflict zone. How? By firing ballistic missiles, including the widely banned cluster munitions bomblets, into some of Azerbaijan's largest cities. These Armenian missiles killed and injured scores of Azerbaijani civilians, including children. In early November, Azerbaijani troops cut the shortest road from the Nagorno-Karabakh to Armenia. It's called the Lachen Road, and it successfully attacked and took control of the Karabakh's second largest city, Shusha, an ancient city that is of great cultural value to all Azerbaijanis. It also sits on the only road between Nagorno-Karabakh and Armenia proper, and a few kilometers from the capital of Nagorno-Karabakh, Khankendi. This is when Armenia realized that the whole of Nagorno-Karabakh could be lost within days, and was forced to agree to a peace deal. We'll see how this ceasefire works, considering that these parties agreed 2 times to similar Russian proposals during the 44-day war, and the United States organized a third proposal with the Russian deal when the Russian deals fell apart. Like the American one, they all fell apart within minutes after signing the agreements. Here are the terms of the peace deal. Azerbaijan will keep its sovereign territory in Nagorno-Karabakh and surrounding areas, those areas that were liberated during the war. It also calls for Armenian forces to hand over some areas it held outside the borders of Nagorno-Karabakh, including Agdam, Kalbajar, and Lachen, from where the name of the road comes from. Refugees and internally displaced people who were forced to leave those occupied districts 26 years ago are free to return home. Around 1 million Azerbaijanis will be able to return to their villages and towns after nearly 30 years. The agreement calls for a 5-kilometer wide area in the so-called Lachen corridor that connects Nagorno-Karabakh with Armenia to remain open and be protected by Russian peacekeepers. The agreement also calls for Russian border services to monitor a new transport corridor between through southern Armenia, connecting Azerbaijan to its western exclave of Nakhchivan, which is surrounded by Armenia, Iran, and Turkey. It's just a piece of Azerbaijan stuck off all by itself, with Armenia in between. Now there would be a protected roadway or transportation corridor so that Azerbaijan can supply the other part of Azerbaijan. Russia will provide about 2,000 peacekeepers, which will be stationed inside Nagorno-Karabakh and along the Lachen corridor. President Aliyev of Azerbaijan also said that Turkey, a close ally of Baku of Azerbaijan, would take part in monitoring the ceasefire. The backlash in Armenia from the announcement was swift, with several thousand protesters angry at the government gathered in Yerevan, the capital of Armenia, and formed mobs, if a mob can be formed, and stormed government buildings and the parliament. Opposition parties, about 20 of them, called on Prime Minister Pashinyan to resign. Americans should be proud of Azerbaijan's victory. Azerbaijan is an ally of ours. It helped us in the war on terror in Afghanistan and Iraq. It sent soldiers to help us in both countries. Armenia, on the other hand, sent soldiers to help Syria's dictator, Bashar Hafez al-Assad, and helped Iran skirt U.S. and international sanctions. In this world, news of wars and rumors of wars are ever present. In this 44-day war, many Americans took sides on the conflict. Those that chose Armenia lost. Those that supported Azerbaijan won. Several U.S. senators and Congress members who received campaign money from the Armenian lobby almost immediately criticized the Armenia-Azerbaijan Peace Deal. These are Senators Bob Menendez and Ed Markey, and Congresspeople Adam Schiff, Brad Sherman, Judy Chu, Frank Pallone, and others. What do these elected officials want? Continuation of the war that would have produced even bigger disaster for their beloved Armenia? When the war was in full force, these same politicians were calling for immediate cessation of hostilities. Now that the ceasefire has been achieved and no more soldiers and civilians are being killed, no more blood is shed. These lawmakers are speaking against the deal. Confusing? If you understand the corrupt ways of doing business on Capitol Hill, it is not that confusing. These politicians are just hired guns of the Armenian lobby and take orders from the lobby on what to say and what not to say regarding the Nagorno-Karabakh conflict. The current order from Armenian special interests is to go after this peace deal, which incidentally was also signed by Armenia. Why is the Armenian lobby unhappy? Because for the first time in history, a real choice has emerged from the resolution of this long-standing conflict. Armenian National Committee of America, Armenian Assembly of America, and other Armenian special interests in the U.S. have constantly pushed Armenia towards maximalist positions, rejecting the return of even an inch of occupied territories back to Azerbaijan. Enjoying the beautiful sunshine in California or the comfortable lifestyle in Massachusetts, it might be quite easy to tell those in Armenia and Karabakh not to yield. Now, the Armenian lobby must bear the responsibility for their actions and do some soul searching. As for the pro-Armenian senators and congresspeople, they are just fulfilling the lobby's orders and never question if these orders are in line with U.S. national interests. Why? Because they don't care. All they care about is how much in campaign cash they will receive till the next election. The remaining question is, did $1 million donation by Kim Kardashian made to Armenia in the middle of this war feed hungry children or buy bullets for a losing cause? The war is over. Azerbaijan won. Azerbaijan got its territory back, and up to 1 million people can go home. And that, to me, is a great deal for everybody. Listen, We're going to take a few days now to prepare our next program, and we hope you'll be there too. And if you're watching this, I hope you're sitting back now, thinking about what we just talked about, and look forward to the next presentation. Thank you for being there. Again, I'm Raul Lowry Contreras. You get our email address at the end of the program if you want to comment on this. Thank you. Goodbye.